Right. So I'm super excited. Today we've got Jake Sussman on the line, and this is a great day for us. Obviously, it's October, it's Dyslexia Awareness Month. Stand Up LD has got a lot going on. So I'm going to start with a few housekeeping things just to remind you of. So every Monday night during the month of October at 7 p.m. Central Time, we have great speakers. Next week, we've got a dear friend of mine and also a good friend of Jake's. Ben Powers is just an awesome guy. He's the headmaster of the Southport School and Southport Lab and School, and just a brilliant, brilliant man. And he's also a fellow dyslexic, and he'll be sharing his journey and story. So I'm super stoked about that. Other thing I wanted to remind everybody about is we just announced the Puzzle Pal project. It's going to be a really great project that I think you're really going to enjoy. What we're doing is we'll mail you a puzzle. It's a blank puzzle. Your kid can draw on it, make a picture about, their learning journey, about their favorite hobbies, whatever it is, wherever their imagination takes them, and just be creative. Then they break apart the puzzle into pieces, put it in an envelope. We'll have a pre-addressed, postage already on it.
Yeah.
All you got to do is put the puzzle in the envelope and mail it off, and it goes to another kid who's participating in the project. They get to assemble the puzzle. It's a surprise. It's just a joyful gift. They get to assemble it, take a photo of themselves with the puzzle they just assembled and received from a friend. And of course, your student will receive a puzzle back that they get to assemble and learn a little bit about that student. And we're encouraging everybody to write little letters and notes, introduce themselves to each other. Just a great way to be creative, share experiences, and connect, particularly right now, while we're still mostly inside. I think it's going to be a great way for everybody to connect. So please sign up for that. We have a supply purchase option on our website. So you purchase the supplies. It includes the puzzle, it includes markers, it includes the envelope with the postage. Everything's all included just in one supply fee. So it should be super fun. So go ahead and sign up for that. We'd love to get as many people participating as possible. So without further ado, I don't know if I said this already. My name's Eric McGarity, one of the founders of Stand Up LD. This is my wife, Heather.
Hi, I'm Heather.
Our other founder and president of the board. And Jake, I'm so excited to have you. Jake is an incredible person, incredible human being. I met him at the International Dyslexia Association's conference this last year, and we immediately hit it off. He runs Superpower Consulting. He's really growing an incredible group of mentors, mentoring students with learning differences. And I think he's doing some amazing work. So without further ado, Jake.
Eric and Heather, really, first of all, thank you so much for the invite. I remember, so as you can see, I'm wearing quite a similar shirt that you both are wearing. Back, I would say it was the last talk I gave before COVID, before the times, it was, first week of what was it? First week of March.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my goodness, it's October already. Is it crazy or what? No, but we were giving this amazing, we had this amazing event in an airplane hangar that Stand Up LD hosted for these kids. And let me tell you, the coolest venue, the coolest event. So really, thank you so much for the work that you're doing for the next generation. It really, it means a lot, really. So thank you. So with that being said, I wanted to just take some time, first of all, to introduce myself and to recognize all of you that have come to join us this evening, especially those who are public school teachers. Really, from the bottom of my heart, thank you for your work. You all are superheroes, really, for our kids, because it's up to you. You're the ones dealing with our kids directly, and there's a lot going on. 2020 threw a lot of curveballs. So I just want to recognize you and your work. So really, thank you. And also for our parents watching, this is going to be a story that I'm going to share that may sound very familiar. perhaps to your kids. So what I'm going to do here is this is going to be a conversation on the power of relatability. Okay. Now, what does that mean? This is going to be looking at how can we better connect with our kids from the perspective of one. That's right. I was that kid in your class, teachers, that you can't reach, and your child parents that is playing video games and won't leave. Okay. And that is the kind of child that we're talking about. So I would like to first start by sharing a poem. It's actually the anniversary of the Forgotten Child, which triggered me to quit my job a year ago on Friday. Okay, this past Friday, I quit my job. I was working in a startup, #1 in sales, building out new territories, Washington, D.C., making things happen. And I quit to pursue my dream to reach kids and be the bridge for kids. There's something much bigger here. So with that being said, I want to warn you about this poem, especially for our public school teachers. Okay, my story really started in public school, and it was very traumatizing. It was the lowest point of my entire life. Now, the words that you hear, okay, the emotion that you may feel, whether that's anger, frustration, connection, please know that this is a reflection of emotion that our kids are feeling. All right, now, let's get this thing going. Okay, my friends, I'd like to ask you to please shut your eyes so you can fully understand the story that has left me so traumatized. Imagine yourselves as the child that always smiled. You were wild and beguiled until the day you were profiled. This is the story of the forgotten child. Now, what I am about to tell you will truly make your stomach churn. They said, I have major concern, Mr. and Mrs., but your child simply can't learn. The child was labeled disabled. He was told face to face that he should stop his chase to a higher educational place because he couldn't read any book in the bookcase. This is an absolute disgrace. Those words should never come out of anyone with a knowledge base. From that point on, he was taken out of the classroom all day long. From homeroom to 3 hours past eating in the lunchroom, he became paranoid, full of anxiety and scared because he was told he was impaired. It felt like nobody cared. He was misunderstood as a result of educators thinking he was no good. He just needed someone to think that he could. You see, negative labels are destructive, counterproductive, and obstructive. Now, I'd like to ask you to please open your eyes. To some surprise, that forgotten child is sitting before all of you guys. He defied the lies of this public educational enterprise. You see, what they didn't know was that this forgotten child had an epic thirst for knowledge. He refused to acknowledge, you will never go to college. He took those words and turned them from frustration into motivation. He was lacking that academic foundation, so his parents pulled him out of this cultivation we called public education. Now, let me bring something to arouse. Just imagine your academic journey, that the construction of a house without the proper support, that house will fall short. He was finally put in a place where his mind was no longer a disgrace. It was a place that built his academic base as strong as an iron case. They saw him for everything he got. This isn't no school of thought. It is something that the public educational system just simply did not. And it was the first time that the forgotten child actually smiled since the day he was profiled. Now, I'm not done. Now, let me mention one of the most notable individuals in all of mankind with the mind that was also defined like mine. Let's take someone like Albert Einstein, a man of credibility that had a learning disability. He was lacking much valuability despite educators' much accreditation, but that didn't stop Al's like journey to discovering the theory of relativity. So take a minute. While I spit some poetry, what's the difference between you and every person the eye can see? Truth is, there's nothing. Because each and every one of us have our own unique ability. Einstein said it perfectly, that everybody is a genius. But if we judge a fish by its ability to climb a tree, we'll live its whole life thinking that it is stupid. Don't you see? A wise man once told me that the power comes from the young people knowing that they can change the world. Don't ever give up your shot. Your minds are all you've got. It's time we change this public educational melting pot, turning your minds into a robot. Get my gist? This world craving to coexist. It's time to work with the kids that are missed, with those who fit the mainstream schools perfectly, and then those who learn differently. Together, I insist. Thank you. You know, I have to say it's one of those moments of, as I share that, I always like to see the emotion of, you know, just being captured by the audience. And this is quite interesting because I can only imagine. But I encourage you watching, please take a minute and just share your thoughts. What came to mind? What did you see? Did you see your child? Did you see a student? Maybe you even saw yourself. Maybe
Jake, I gotta say, Heather and I were over here watching, and we were just blown away. I mean, it was so great to see you say that live. You know, I've watched the video a number of times, but to see it live, I think for me was really great.
Oh, that's awesome. Thank you. I appreciate that. And, you know, and if you open to participating in it, like, I am curious what you saw in that. Did you see your kids? Did you see yourself?
Oh yeah, I definitely saw myself. I was a kid that was like I was like the wallflower that would blend in with the wallpaper, you know, at the end of the back of the room, and wasn't really, just trying to be invisible was what I was trying to do. I was just trying to be well behaved and not found out, basically, kind of hiding. And different people, you know, respond differently to these challenges. But I see several people that are saying, yes, it's me, I can relate. Our friend Tina Wheeler is saying that. So lots of amazing people are responding to this.
And
so,
I want to also thank you for sharing that, Heather. And I do encourage you watching, really, this is from the bottom of my heart. This is a space to share. This is a space to share vulnerably. Because I'll tell you, if it isn't for sharing and being vulnerable, I'll bet there's someone else out there that's experiencing the exact same thing you are. And let me tell you, this is all about the power of relatability. Put yourself out there because someone else is experiencing it. It's okay. That's the most beautiful part about social media, is that we all can be one right now, anywhere in the world. That to me is one of I have the chills just even thinking that. Okay, so before I go any further, let's go back. Okay, let's put ourselves back in our child's shoes or in your student's shoes. Now, doing this may require you to mentally put aside your to-dos, outstanding tasks, emails, responsibilities, and everything else that comes with parenting an LD mind, right? Once fully engaged, we can now begin to explore their world. Because let me tell you, we can try all we want to reach our kids, right, and to help our kids, and to fix their problems. But you know what? If we're not willing to step in their world, my friends, it's not going to happen. It's not. Sitting in a chair in a therapy office is not your kid's world. We can't expect someone to open up if they're not comfortable. It's human behavior. All right. So we're going to dive into this right now. You ready? What do you see when you've entered your kid's world? Perhaps you see a world with untainted joy, wonder, and excitement. Or maybe you experience endless curiosity and bewilderment, letting your mind run wild, eagerly learning the world each day comes with a new adventure. Oh, gosh, I wish I was a kid again. Now, the world of joy, curiosity, and imagination that you just immerse yourself in is labeled. Labeled. It is made to believe that it is no good and different, not normal. My friends, human beings are born knowing how to learn. Somewhere along the way, we are told that we can't. It's how we learn how to walk. It's how we learn how to talk. It's how we learn how to say mommy and daddy. Come on, human beings are born knowing how to learn. Somewhere along the way, we're told that we can't. The negative labels are not only destructive, but they're counterproductive to our children's success. We can even go as far as the label of dyslexia and ADHD itself. I know this is a little bit out there, but hear this out. Perhaps by the label, and I'll tell you, Eric, when I was at the IDA conference last year, I was shocked to hear how many kids used the word their dyslexia as an excuse not to know how to read. I don't know how to read, or no, ready? I can't read because of my dyslexia. You know what I told myself? I can't learn math due to the way I learn, due to my learning disability. And you want to know what happened? I never learned math until recently. But that's not the point. I never actually took the time to be open to learning math because of my label. Want to know something else crazy? On my IEPs, I was told that communication, I posted about it today, communication will be one of my biggest life challenges. Completing sentences, social cues, how am I doing? Am I doing all right? Okay, social cues. My friends, I not only am a public speaker, but I built a company helping others learn how to communicate and self-advocate. But my IEP said I can't do it. What's up with that? That's to show that our kids and you watching, there's so much more than an assessment because that's just a label. All right. Now, let's go back for a minute. We have to embrace it. You can't ignore dyslexia. You can't say, oh, that word doesn't exist. That's not what I'm saying. I want to debunk that right now before you all think whatever you're thinking. All right. We have to embrace it. Embrace dyslexia, embrace ADHD, but don't let it define you. So, and again, if you have questions along the way, don't hesitate to ask. I think Heather is looking at this feed over here. All right. So as an LD mind myself, I know firsthand the challenges of overcoming these labels. Throughout the younger years of my life, my parents were constantly turning to doctors, therapists, and tutors and specialists. But the problem was that no one could reach me. But these were the most credible professionals out there. Why couldn't they reach me? Was I really that broken? Because I was so misunderstood, my impulses, obviously, they turned erotic. And then I was labeled a behavior problem. Sound familiar? Here's a story for you. Fourth grade. I actually, during quarantine, I went back and I found my my report cards. Thank God my mom did not show me those report cards. And I want to thank my mom if she's watching. If you're watching, Mom, give yourself a little shout out for not sharing these report cards with me because I was shocked. And public school teachers, this is very important for you to listen to. And I want to thank you again for joining us because the fact that you're here taking the time out of your Monday evening to learn how to better reach our kids, that's a big deal. So really, thank you. And also, for those of you watching, give our teachers a shout out by giving them some love on here and liking or like giving a little shout out. That'll be really great. Okay. So on my report card, it was a 2-paragraph analysis of Jake Sussman. 8 of those sentences talked about my behavior problem during independent reading time. 8 of those sentences. Now, I learned writing. That's a lot of sentences in 2 paragraphs. And the problem was that there was no solution. For example, Jake needs to be more in control of his behavior. Jake has to take responsibility for his actions in class. How do you expect a 4th grader to be more in control of their behavior when they're not being reached properly? I have no idea. Well, I actually do have some ideas, but in the time we had no idea, right? What do you see? You see a misbehaving child. The buddy teacher was one of my best friends, and the principal, just kidding, they were my worst nightmare. And I was their worst nightmare. But here we have a kid who is misbehaving during independent reading time, but yet they're fully engaging during group discussion and class projects. What's the deal? Why are they so misbehaving during this time? Let's reflect on this for a minute. Ready? Could it be that, well, I mean, due to my severe ADHD, sitting still was incredibly challenging? Yes. But let's keep going further. How come what was my behavior? Distractions, trying to be funny, maybe throwing a pencil or passing a note, did all those things. Definitely did all those things. And if your kids do those things, I want to know too. Come on, I can't be the only one that did this. Could it be that I'm an auditory learner? Could it be that if my teachers were in the school, were willing to look past the behavior problem, maybe they would have been open to seeing the fact that the way I'm being taught wasn't the best way that Jake Sussman learns, right? It very well could be that not only am I an auditory learner, but the books themselves didn't trigger me or stimulate my learning. My fascination, my friends, do you see my train set behind me? I love trains. Thomas the Tank Engine, all day long. I would play those things for like hours. My ADHD hyperfocus, I would go down to my basement when I was younger in elementary school, and I'd be down there for like 4 or 5 hours straight. Now, I love Thomas the Tank Engine books. I love nonfiction books. Those to me were stimulating, but my teachers hated them. They didn't want me to read nonfiction. They wanted me to read the books that the school is telling us to read. So of course I'm not going to be engaging in those books because I'm not interested. But yet on my report card, they said, while Jake loves to share these bizarre, interesting nonfiction facts, Jake needs to be more engaged in fictional books. Now, let me ask you, my friend teachers, what is the priority? Teaching a child how to read, or having the child read the book that everyone else has to read in class? We have this saying, and I'll talk about this in a minute. I'm kind of going on a tangent, but it's important that we get this across. In my company, Superpower Consulting, we have a philosophy, okay? It's that every human being has a brain, I like to hope, but no human being has the same mind. Every human being has a brain, but no human being has the same mind, which means, my friends, there is no one way to teach someone. The way Jake learns is going to be different than Heather learns or Eric learns. It's just the way it is. So I want to keep that in mind. Okay, I want to continue here. You ready? I want you to, reflect back. And as I looked back on my grade school years, I envisioned what my life may have looked like had I had access to someone who actually just understood my mind and my potential, right? Think about your kids, your students. Can you imagine what that might be? One thing was missing. a mentor. And I just want to full disclosure, this is not to sell my services. This is to talk about the impact of mentorship and why mentors can make themselves the most relatable out of anyone. Here's why, okay? Someone who was also misunderstood, another behavioral problem, someone who has been through the same struggles, emotional struggles, who felt the same isolation, judgment, and confusion, and who was eager to support me through my challenging process because they've been there, right? They've been there. So this is something very important. As we talk about the power of relatability, let's think about who can relate to our kids from a shared emotional experience versus just to say, I can only imagine what that must be like. What if we can say, I've actually been there. I get your feeling and pain because I too had severe stomach pains whenever I want to read a book. Did anyone else have that? If you did, let me know, because I used to be in agony on the floor, crying whenever I would read Harold and the Purple Crane. No, that was like the first book I got through, and it was great. I loved it after, but still, even to this day, sometimes every book, sometimes I just get this knot. That was one of my biggest triggers. Another trigger was Jake, calm down. Oh my God, I don't want to go there, okay? So let's flash forward to today. And mentorship has actually become a highly reliable alternative for social and emotional growth, development, and evolution of oneself, okay? All of that combined, let's check out some of these stats, okay? Now, I founded Superpower Consulting with one simple belief, okay, which is, unlike many professionals, mentors guide and advise instead of fix and prescribe, okay? That's an intense line right there, all right? We do partner with therapists and psychologists. We believe in going to medical professionals. However, can that professional relate the way someone who has emotionally been there? Maybe, maybe not. But I can tell you for sure a mentor 100% will, because they've been there. That's the role of a mentor. Now, let's check out some of these stats. You ready? And this is, again, for you to look at how we can best relate to our kids, all right? Statistics show that 81% of those who meet regularly with a mentor are more likely to participate in extracurricular activities than those who don't. 52% less likely to skip a day of school, and 55% more likely to get into college. This is not Superpower Consulting statistics. This is mentorship statistics across the country, okay? In other words, mentorship is designed to empower and equip mentees with the skills they need to confidently succeed in any environment. In the case of kids with learning and attention challenges, being able to excel in a traditional learning environment is the name of the game, my friend teachers, right? We want our kids to be able to excel. Now, I know there's that one kid in your class that you may not be able to reach, all right? Let's go deeper beyond the surface from what we see. There's a whole world underneath that. Now, our philosophy here is built on 3 pillars. Again, I want you to take these pillars and incorporate them into the way you live your life, into the way that you run your home in your classroom, okay? Self-reflection, communication, and self-advocacy, all right? Again, we can invest all the money in these resources with tutoring, in counseling, a whole thing. But if our kids cannot articulate the way they learn to those who don't understand, all of that work, it's just not gonna, it's not gonna pay off the way it will. The reason why I'm telling you that is because, look, when I was pulled out of school, okay, I was fortunate enough to attend the Southport School, actually, with Ben Powers. Ben Powers wasn't the headmaster at the time, but Ben Powers actually took over when I left. He must have been waiting for me to leave. But then I went to the Foreman School, which is one of the top top schools in the country for high functioning learning and attention challenges. They're based in Connecticut. I love this school. They're great. Changed my life. They change lives every year. But there was an issue, right? most of my graduating class, not only mine, but the class above me, class below me, they're not graduating. They're not in career jobs. 30% of college freshmen in the United States drop out of college. 30%. There's something going on, right? If our kids don't know how to communicate and articulate the way they learn, again, all of our investment in our kids was going to rely on them articulating and self-advocating to others, taking the knowledge and information and applying it into their life. Okay, that's called also next level independence. We believe that when children are given the space to safely communicate and express their emotions, explore their habits and behaviors, and feel confident about their hobbies, confidence undoubtedly skyrockets. This success gives them the strength and the courage to tackle more challenging tasks. Okay, what does this mean? Okay, we can talk about video games, right? This is a good one, very sensitive topic, right? Right? How many of your kids play video games? I also play. Okay, so like we all play, right? What is the video game? What are these activities that we love, right? That we gravitate toward? Think of yourselves, parents and teachers and whoever's watching this, right? Reflect on yourselves. What do you need in order to feel in control of your life? Heather, Eric, you're more than welcome to join in on this. You don't have to. But I know for one, Eric, right? What's one of your hobbies? I just want to put you on the spot. What's your hobby?
I love to paint. Painting.
Okay.
Yeah.
You also have a really cool 3D printer, right?
I love to 3D print stuff and then paint. That's kind of like my thing.
Why?
I mean, I think what you just said resonated. It's like, it's my little world. I get to control the whole thing, right?
Yeah.
I think that, and it's just, it's imagination for me, right? So it's about creativity and being able to imagine.
Mhm.
And I'm just such a curious person. I just love to imagine.
Yeah.
So a new little world, that
Right, but like it's so funny because what you do professionally and like the creativity, I mean, it may not it may connect and interconnect, but like it doesn't have to be the thing you do professionally, right? It could very well be something totally irrelevant to what you do professionally. In your case, it's perhaps just being creative and painting. Right. For me, it's model trains. Model trains have nothing to do with venturing and working in the education space. But you know what this is, Aaron? And Heather, I don't want to leave you out. If you want to participate in this one, you're more than welcome to. What's one of your outlets? Yeah.
I like planting flowers and gardening and being outside. And for me, being out in nature is relaxing and calming. And I like to throw parties, and I can't do that during COVID, so that's kind of hard. I like to plan parties and stuff, and I've always enjoyed doing that. And I can't do that right now very much. So that's been kind of rough. But yeah, and like for Eric, I remember with painting, you told me before that it makes you feel calm. Yeah. And for me, when I'm planting flowers and stuff like that, it makes me feel like kind of calm and
it's kind of a meditation.
Yeah.
I love that. And let me tell you, we all got them, my friends. These are called outlets. All right. This is what this is what we tell our kids, right? An outlet is not what we plug in the wall. Well, it kind of is. It's the next level. You ready? An outlet is an activity that we do naturally, subconsciously, that allows us to feel in control, maybe during a time when we're not in control. Okay. For you have yours, I have mine, you all have yours. And guess what? There are destructive outlets, and some of our outlets can also become escapism, right? Your outlets, Heather and Eric, and for myself, my trains, like very well could turn into a toxic outlet if we're not in control of it, because then it turns into escapism, right? So the idea is looking at our kids and yourself. What do you need to feel in control and why? Ask the why. Let's dig beneath the surface, because this is going to give unique insight to our kids. Okay. Now more than ever, children with minds like mine are craving support in connection with someone who understands them. Okay. Especially in times of uncertain change like now. While we each may have our own unique story, we all can agree that all children have struggled to stay engaged and connected with online learning, having to feel isolated from their friends, and worst of all, having been out of consistent, reliable routine. You know what's funny? I actually had this thought the other day that we have prepared our generation of kids to look at a certain world, right? When you have a grade or memorizing a test, that's memorizing a certain result. But that's not life, is it? Right? When COVID hit, that's not memorization. You can't memorize what to do during a COVID-19 pandemic. We had to think on the spot. We had to get creative. We had to get out uncomfortable. What if teachers, I'm curious, please share your thoughts, because this is something that I've been really thinking about. What if we start teaching our kids how to navigate uncertainty versus certainty? What if we can measure our kids' success based off how well they can handle an uncertain event versus a certain event? Not memorization and not pop quizzes, but but what if we can take it to the next level using social emotional learning on top of that? Okay. The fact of the matter is, my friends, okay, and I'm almost done here. Then I have a few pointers I want to take away. How are we doing? Are we doing well in our audience? How's our audience doing? We're good? Everyone's doing all right? Okay.
Doing great.
Doing great.
Okay. The fact of the matter is,
interaction.
great. The fact of the matter is that when our kids feel filled with fear, anxiety, and stress, which I did when I was younger, okay, they're unable to manage and prioritize their emotions, especially when they do not have the skills to self-reflect or the language to effectively communicate with others. Why does a baby cry? Do they cry because they're sad, or they cry because they don't have the words to express themselves? Same thing, adults still do some of that also. However, when given the space of relatability, comfortability, and connection, kids in our program, okay, and also in your homes, have the opportunity to share how they feel and what they love. And once heard, validated, and understood, kids have experienced a new sense of awareness, engagement, and confidence in their abilities to manage their emotions and pursue more challenging tasks like schoolwork, it's Monday. Schoolwork, chores, relationships, and communication, self-awareness. Now, here's something cool. Then I'm going to leave this in 5 tips. Then we'll get on with questions, all right? What if we're able to rethink how we look at obstacles? Okay, how we look at reading, math, writing, because they're such triggers. So I'm telling you, sometimes when I talk to my kids, they're like, I mention the word reading, they shut down, they're done. They're done. So what if we could treat reading, writing, or math as if it's like helping someone lose weight, right? It's like losing weight is the easy part. It's just getting up off the couch, which makes it hard, right? So isn't that not just an obstacle, right? What if reading, put it aside for a minute, what if it's just an obstacle? What if we teach our kids how to overcome the obstacle with the strategies of breathing, coping, emotional intelligence, self-regulation? How do I feel? What are my strengths and challenges, and why do I feel this way? Then creating the tools to overcome the obstacle, AKA reading, writing, or math. Make sense? You follow me here? It's very fascinating, okay? All right. My lecture is done. And now I'm gonna leave with just some 5 tips, all right? And again, I appreciate you staying with us. This was a lot of fun talking to you. Yeah, this is really great. So first of all, get vulnerable. You already did. How you felt from the forgotten child, that child inside, right? Get vulnerable, especially I'm talking to you dads. I am. To get vulnerable. If you've gone through challenges in your life, share them with your kids. Share that emotional experience of challenge. It's going to validate your kids' experience and have them feeling supported. Don't just say, oh, sweetie, it's going to be okay. Why don't you say, you know what? I've been there. I remember when I was in college, Who cares? Just share the story. Maybe it doesn't have to be about school. It could be something else. But share a story of challenge and overcoming an obstacle so that they feel supported. Number 2, be willing to enter their worlds with an open mind and encouragement. I can't tell you how many parents say, well, I hate those video games. I don't get them, right? No, I don't think you sound like that, but I'm just trying to be over dramatic. It's not about entertainment. It's not. Who cares about entertainment? Like about the same thing about the book. What's the priority, right? Connecting and entering your kid's world and having them learn about you and you learn about them, or your own entertainment. Come on. Let's move past this now, right? Yes, video games are bad, but guess what? They're not going away. They're not going away. So let's learn how to coexist with our technology. Number 3, pay close attention to our kids' passions, interests, and their natural abilities. This will help show insight to activities needed to feel expressed and safe. At Superpower Consulting, we call these outlets. We just did that exercise with Heather and Eric. Okay, reflect on your activities. And guess what, my friends? There's also destructive outlets, right? And I'll let you use your imagination to imagine what those are. All right, I'm not going to say this on live. All right. Number 4, don't be afraid to ask the why. I can't stress this enough. In order to get to the root of how our kids are truly feeling, we need to be willing to dig deeper and ask questions. Use the I don't know response as a launch pad for curiosity. What I mean by that is, how was your day? How was school today? It was good. Great. Is that enough? What's underneath it was good? I mean, come on, guys, right? There's so much more under that initial response. So how do we get to the next level? That's digging beneath the surface, is ask why. Question probe. That's a whole nother conversation we can talk about. If you want, look them up. How do I question probe? Question probing is one of the most important skills to know in communication, and especially negotiation. That's digging deeper beneath the surface response. 5, last one. You ready? I don't know. I think I'm ready. Are you two ready? All right. Keep your kids on a schedule. Okay. Consistency is one of the most important tools to support the momentum of our kids with learning and attention challenges. Hold them accountable. Don't discipline. Hold them accountable, but don't discipline them. What do you mean, Jake? How do I, teach my kid a lesson? Well, let me tell you, in all my years of being a parent, I'm just joking, I'm not a parent. I'm the other one. I'm the other side, all right? What we talk about is the power of impact. We don't let our mentees say, I'm sorry, because that word means nothing. Don't let your kids say, I'm sorry, because guess what, parents? It's just an excuse. You're right. You were right the entire time. It is. But you know what is more powerful than I'm sorry? Because when I hear I'm sorry, it makes it about me, not about the person I'm actually sorry to. Recognizing the impact of the other person's emotions and how they feel is way more powerful than just I'm sorry, because it's not about me, it's actually about you. Okay? I recognize the impact of me not doing the dishes must have caused you to feel stressed and overwhelmed and maybe a little anxious. And I recognize that, and I'll do better next time. Versus, sorry. You know what I'm saying? Okay. That's that's all I got. And I'll say there's 4 books that I'll recommend listening to or reading, ironically. Okay. One is Permission to Feel by Dr. Mark Brackett, who's the founder of the Yale Center for Emotional Intelligence. Wonderful book, wonderful guy. They're doing some great work. How to Win Friends and Influence People by Dale Carnegie. It's a classic. The Power of Habit, and Crucial Conversations by multiple authors, literally multiple authors. I'm not going to name them all out. You can look it up. So again, my name is Jake Sussman. I'm the founder of Superpower Consulting, which is a mentorship firm for kids and young adults with learning and attention challenges to build confidence. You can reach me at, Jake at superpowerconsulting.com, or follow my Facebook page. And most importantly, give Stand Up LD a shout out. They are an amazing organization. I stand by them 150%. Heather and Eric are they're a power couple. Let me tell you, they don't mess around. They don't mess around. When you have a power couple together as a team moving forward, they're unstoppable. So thank you so much for having me. This was so much fun in question time. Let's do this.
Well, thank you so much, Jake. That was awesome. So yeah, we've got quite a few comments here. Heather, do you want to read some questions?
Well, does anybody have a question that they would like to post on the Facebook feed? I know that there was somebody early on that was talking about reaching her students in the classroom. And that's really important. I think those who have attention issues. And she said, it was Laura said, I have 4 kids in my room that are always trying to be the class clown. It seems like they want to disrupt the class. What should I do to help? What should I be doing to help them? Any advice?
So Laura, was this Laura?
Huh?
Hi, Laura. Nice to meet you. Kind of weird. I feel like I'm talking to myself, but I know I'm talking to you. You're right with me. So the question was, I have students who are class clowns in class. How do I deal with them? Is that correct?
Uh-huh. Yes.
I was a class clown, so I know what you're talking about. Look, I actually can't tell you, and for anyone asking questions, I'm not going to give you a solution because I actually don't know anything.
So funny.
Okay, I don't know anything.
Socrates, right?
Yeah, exactly. Neither do any of us because I don't know the minds of your students. The only way for me to know is to actually meet them and work with them. But even then, what I will say is, how can we empower these kids? Because most likely, if they're a class clown, I'll bet they're being misunderstood or they're not being reached in the way that they feel stimulated. So therefore, by natural default, because they're a squad, right? And when there's more than one person, you now feel safe and protected to do things that may not be in your natural human behavior to do. Okay, maybe around your parents, you probably won't be behaving like that. So how can we better reach them and tap into their greatness? Because I believe that they can be reached. Let's give them a job. Give them a job. I would say, let's encourage all of them to have a job. Maybe it could be different. I wouldn't say separate them because that's more towards punishment. I would say, how can we utilize their connection and teamwork to actually do something productive in class? Maybe it's, I actually have no idea, honestly, but I want you to think about it because you know your students more than I do. By giving them a job empowers them, makes them feel heard and recognized and responsible, actually. Look, I'll be happy to dive in more with you. That's all the information that I know from your share. I will also say that if you have an opportunity to meet with them individually, because that's where you can really dive in, because frankly, kids and adults will act differently around their friends. Let's ask a little bit more about, that whatever they're doing to misbehave, let's just be curious about it. Let's not go from an attacking approach. Let's just be curious about their behavior and just what they're interested in. And maybe we can find something to tap into them.
I love that. Well, I think that there's a huge thing too, that if kids feel emotional connection with their teacher and with their classmates, and then they're more likely to do a better job being a great student in terms of like being engaged. But if you feel like the teacher, you don't have a connection with her, sometimes it's harder. But kind of changing gears a little bit, one of the things that you said earlier that I thought was really awesome about the power of relatability is I talk to parents regularly who say, my child has these learning challenges. I don't have it. My husband doesn't have it. We don't know where it came from. So I can't relate to this, but they're not sharing any of their own personal vulnerability that they've had in their life with their child. I like what you said about the parents being vulnerable, sharing about a challenge that they've had, even if it's not related to school. It could be related to anything, but sharing how they've had a challenge in their lives and how they overcame that. I think there's something really powerful about parents sharing that. So even if you can't connect with your child's learning difference, if you don't have that experience, I think parents should definitely do everything they can to go to a dyslexia simulation when it's not COVID, so you can see what it would be like to have a child who has a learning difference. They also have like ADHD simulations, I believe, as well. So if you can't relate to it, you should go to the ends of the earth to try to learn as much as you can about what it would be like. But also by sharing that vulnerability, I feel like you'll really have a deeper connection with your child, which is hugely important.
And I also think too, though, that there's this fear of social isolation as well that comes with, especially if you're in a very competitive school district where you have your friends who are sending their kids to Michigan and Ivy Leagues and all these other schools. And I get that's challenging. I grew up in a town of where it's like that. And parents, I'll tell you, like, they don't want to embrace their kids' learning style because frankly, they're now not going to fit in the social side to like parenting. So I just want to say that your kid's path is their path. If they live another path, they will be very unhappy. So yeah, let's keep going.
Okay, so another one I'm seeing right here is, what are some tips for now that the kiddos at home, how to get them connected with a good mentor is what one person is asking about.
Yeah. So particularly in today's world, wherever all the kids are at home and everything, how to connect them with mentors.
Well, there's a few options. I mean, I think there's the one-on-one experience, right, of having your child work one-on-one with a mentor. And these mentors are between the ages of 22 and 30. So they're young. Some of them are also 18, seniors in high school, going into college. But it's to have that one-on-one experience in that relationship, but also we're opening up, it's called Super Squad groups, which is a chance for kids around the same age and interest to be connected in groups of 4 and kids around the country and around their same age for them to connect, taking full advantage of the fact that we are virtual and we can expand from our little circle. We can actually meet kids like us all over the world. Come on, that's so cool. So if you are curious about mentorship, you can definitely reach out to me or find our website at superpowerconsulting.com. Yeah, definitely.
I'm not seeing anything else, I think.
Well, there was a follow-up on the classroom.
The one teacher, that Miss Laura, who had mentioned about the kids in her classroom that have been acting up, had said, they have morning jobs they do each day. Do I need to ask what they want to learn about? Another teacher responded, Ms. Tina Wheeler, and she said, find out their struggles and background in their home life. What they're learning may be difficult.
May I, Meg? I would love to just give something on top of that share, and I appreciate that feedback. I don't know who said that, but I want to say on top of the struggles, see, this is the thing about our society, which I find fascinating, is that we're obsessed with our challenges. Obsessed with our challenges. But what if all of the secrets and the keys are not in our challenges? What if they're in our strengths? I encourage you can ask whatever you want, but perhaps who cares about the challenges right now? Perhaps let's just learn what they like, because that's going to stimulate them. Knowing their challenges isn't going to help you reach them better. It's just going to make you feel more empathetic with them, which you definitely should learn about. But first, I definitely encourage you, forget school, forget class, forget the homework and assignments. Just ask, like, do you like basketball? Do you like video games? What kind of video games do you play? If they play Minecraft, let me tell you about Minecraft. That game is like creativity wazoo. It's literally my model train set virtually. You can learn a lot about someone based off what they play. And you know what? That's actually something that could give you as a teacher unique insight to better reach your kids, because if that's the case, most likely these kids want to be in control of the situation. So if they're feeling challenged, here's a great example, right? I have a mentee who reading 4 grade levels behind in reading, and they are 12 years old. I'm sorry, they're 10 years old, excuse me. But obsessed with music and lyrics. Won't pick up a book, but can read lyrics left and right. So I consult with their schools on behalf of our clients, and some of our tips is, look, again, what's the priority, right? Let's get lyrics, clean lyrics, obviously, which you need parents' permission for. But why can't we teach a kid how to read the words, right? Because it's decoding the words through lyrics. It rhymes. It's with music. It can help stimulate memory. It could stimulate that is what I'm talking about. That is creative, outside the box. I used to fall asleep watching training videos with subtitles. I was such a trainer, but that is how I learned how to read, honestly, just by getting used to seeing the words on the page. So going back, definitely encourage that 100%. Look at their strengths, not their challenges right now.
Love that. And to add to that, I think having the kids write their own song lyrics, you know,
Yeah.
like you're a poet, right? So cool.
Write your own song lyrics. It's creative. It definitely stimulates both sides of the brain. But look, like, I think that there's a lot of ways to get stimulated. I'm not necessarily into the whole positive reinforcement thing. Not sorry. Yeah, positive reinforcement, because it's like, it doesn't necessarily mean that's how they feel. Like, oh, I feel great, right? But like, maybe they don't feel okay.
Yeah.
And that's actually okay. But let's have the awareness and have the emotion for it. You know what I'm saying? So there's so much to kind of dive in the aspects of that.
Yeah, it's a very deep topic for sure.
That's a whole nother conversation. Oh my goodness.
It is. Well, I mean, there's so much. I mean, I think with the COVID thing as well, there's a lot more emotions right now than maybe there were before with the uncertainty. And I like what you had to say about if we could teach our kids to be comfortable with uncertainty. If we could teach us all to be comfortable with uncertainty, maybe we will all have to be experts after this.
Absolutely. That's so good. That's so good. And yeah, I mean, that's definitely important. Definitely important.
Yes. Well, thank you so much.
Well, good. Well, Jake, we're so thrilled to have you on. Inspiring, and I just loved your presence and your energy. I think you had a lot of great takeaways, and I know that we had 44 people engage in the comment, or 44 comments just during this talk.
Wow.
Quite a few. Yeah. So yeah, you'll have to go back and read them all. So people were really on board with what you had to say. So we really appreciate you. So just some reminders to everybody that's out there. Next Monday, 7 o'clock Central Time, we have Ben Powers. Super excited to have him come join us, give another great speech, just like Jake did. And you know, we also, if you didn't hear me say it at the beginning, don't miss the Puzzle Pal project. This is a super cool project that we've just kind of invented, and we're rolling it out, and we'd love it if we got a bunch of people signed up so that we can have kids be creative, mail that creativity off to another kid, and then receive a surprise in the mail and get to build a puzzle that they've another.
That's so awesome.
So yeah, love everybody have love for everyone to sign up for that.
Definitely check out Ben Powers. I'm telling you, he's one of the most innovative headmasters you can possibly meet. When I say headmasters, leaders of a school, he is next level, bringing education and reaching kids to like the stars. I'm telling you, that's an interview you do not want to miss. He's doing some amazing work over there. So
thank you so much. We're very excited.
Oh yeah, it's going to be great.
Okay. Well, have a wonderful night, Jake. Thank you so much for being on.
You too. Good night, everybody.
And
Good
thanks
night.
everybody for joining. Bye-bye.